Hello everyone and welcome to Thermomixing with Donna. So my name's Donna Martin, for those that don't know me. If it's your first time joining, welcome. If you're watching this on YouTube as a recording, then please do hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. If you hit the little bell, it will tell you each time I upload a video, so then you can catch all my recipe inspiration classes. This class is held virtually on a Thursday evening at 7 o'clock in the Brisbane time zone for those that watch it from overseas, because I know we do have some members from across the world that do watch. So tonight we're going to be making a lovely soup. It's called Hug in a Mug Chicken Soup, and Emily will post that chat into the chat for those that are on the actual live tonight. Hug in a Mug is one of the best chicken soups in my opinion. It's so easy to make. It's one of those recipes that you can literally throw your ingredients in and walk away. So for a Thursday night recipe inspiration class, thankfully I have two Thermomixes, so I can show you some functions on the other machine while one is cooking. So without further ado, let's get on with the class. So I've already put into the TM7 the recipe, but I want to show you the function that I love from the Cookie Do app. So into the Cookie Do app, which is an app that, oops, got the chicken soup there. This is the recipe that we're going to do, which is Hug in a Mug chicken soup. And as you can see, it says send to TM7. So if I hit that green button, like so, and if you watch my TM7, it's on screen ready to go. So I do love that function of the TM7. Obviously, it's not on the 6. As you can see, the 6 is still as is, but it makes it super easy if you want to choose a recipe and just throw it to the machine, especially if the kids are cooking, because you can say it's on the machine ready to go, just hit start. So that's what I love. All right. So what we'll do is we'll get started with this recipe. So I'm going to hit the start button. And we're going to be cooking in the TM7 for the main part of tonight. And it is a really easy recipe. I've done one substitution, but I'll talk through that as we go. So we have parsley first, so it's straight from the garden, just leaves only, 2 sprigs. Now, don't put too much parsley in. If your garden's like mine and my sprigs are enormous, if you put too much in, it really overpowers it. So you don't want to put too much in. So I'm going to tick that off. Then it says carrots cut into pieces. So I've got 1 carrot cut into pieces. Now with your carrot, if you're new to a Thermomix, you don't want to be making your carrot any bigger than this, because if you put carrot in too big, it can actually break your blade. So if you were to put it in, say, 2 or 3 times that size, like say this, all right, could snap your blade. It's meant to snap. It protects the mortar. So that is why we cut them into chunks. All right, so we're going to put that in. Take that off. Now, obviously, if we were weighing that in for weight, it would tick it off itself if we're at the right amount. And you'll see that as we go. So celery, didn't have any celery. Believe it or not, we didn't have any in the supermarket either. So we've got zucchini tonight. We're just going to go with that. It's still a vegetable. We'll stick that in, because that's what I had in the fridge. If you do follow me regularly, you'll know I'm a low waste type of girl, so I try and use up whatever I've got in the fridge. Onions, no, that does not say onions, Donna. That says mushrooms. So we've got mushrooms here. So 100 grams of mushrooms, might be over that one. It is a bit over, so it's not going to tick it off. So we'll tick that off. And then brown onion, 150. Where's my onion? Oh, yes, that's right. So for those that have never used these before, these are wax sheets, which I use just to keep the onion smell away. If you are like majority of people and you cry when you're cutting an onion, a top tip is to have a wet cloth by your onion when you're slicing it up, and the onion will look for moisture, and the closest moisture source is the cloth and not your eyes, so you won't cry. So that's a top tip for me tonight. So we're going to pop that in. So this again will probably go over because I'm a bit of a, throw it in kind of person, but we'll see. Yes, we're well over on that one. Never mind. All good. I'm not showing the mechanism to tick it off here, but if it was right, it would tick it off. But I am showing you that it is versatile and you can go out of the zones. You don't have to be exact. Unless you've got a bit of OCD, and a lot of us have, then you might want to be exact. All right, so we're going to chop that up. So 5 seconds, speed 6, and we're just going to press play. Next. All right, so it says scrape down the sides. So I'll show you what that looks like. Now that it's chopped it all up, how good does that look? Yum. All right, 5 seconds, that's all that took. Can you imagine all that chopping? to get, oh, couldn't, no, just couldn't. So it's a straight down the sides. Now I am using the TM6 spatula here. This was the limited edition that came with the sparkling white. It's a bit fancy. I like the different colours on it. Next, all right, then we're going to add the salted butter. It's a bit here. She's already started melting because we're here in Queensland. Oh, look at that. It's going to tick it off. I've got one right. Yes. There we go. Ding. You probably don't hear the ting, but I do love it. Now we're going to do 5 minutes on 120 degrees speed 2. So what that's going to do is it's actually going to saute those vegetables. So we'll press play and we've got 5 minutes and we'll start looking at our boiled eggs. Now, actually, I'm going to pause it because I want to show you something first. So while that's paused, let's just go back to home screen and I'm going to show you them on the modes. So on your TM6 to get your modes up, you have to do Tinder screen, swipe left, swipe right. So we're going to swipe across to our Tinder screen and we're going to go to egg boiler mode, which is what I'm going to use on here. This one, I'm going to go the egg boiler mode just so you can see the differences between the two. All right. So on the TM7, it's pretty much the same, other than these have got pictures. So on your, when I get off the instructions, so this one here, you can still choose the same ones. So it's soft, medium, hard, soft, medium, soft, medium, medium hard or hard. And in this one, it's exactly the same. The only difference is you've got pictures that show you what your eggs should look like, whereas you've got no pictures on this one. It just tells you which ones they are. So I'm going to go back to our recipe. Now, there's 2 ways to get back to your recipe on a TM7. You can go back and go to home screen and it will take you to the recipe and you can hit start, hit the where you're up to, which this says 5 of 10. So you're at step 5 of 10 steps, or you can pull it down from the top and select it. That's called the cooking center in the TM7. And that takes us exactly back to where we were. So we'll press play on that one. Now then, in the TM6, because we're going to use the TM6 for our eggs. So I have my 4 eggs. Now, those that are used to cooking in an older Thermomix will be used to doing them in the basket because we always cooked them in the basket because otherwise the blade would, make a mess of those eggs and we don't like that. With this, when the 6 came out, the egg boiler mode, the blade does not turn, so it's static. So we can actually put these, so if I grab this out, we're going to put these in the bottom of the bowl. It does frighten people sometimes when they talk about, really? You're going to put them in the bottom with the blade? Just like that, see? All right. So I'm going to pop them in. So if you are new to a TM6, because I know there's a lot of people buying secondhand at the minute of the TM6s, or you're new to the TM7, putting them in the bottom of the bowl is perfect. All right. Then we're going to put in, and I'm going to show you on the bowl. So you have on the side of the bowl, and I don't know if you're going to be able to see it from there, you've got markings on the side. So the first dot is 500, the second dot is 1 litre, the third dot is 1.5 litres, the fourth dot is 2 litres, and then there's a max line which is above it, which is 2.2. All right, so we're going to pop that in there. And I'm just going to pop in 1 litre of water. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly 1 litre. It could be just under, just over. It really won't matter, as long as you're not putting 2 litres in, and then obviously it's going to take longer to cook. If you wanted to be a little bit, particular, you could go to the weighing scale. So we could go, whoops, let's not get carried away with this swipe screen, Donna. So let's go to our scales and let's weigh in 1 litre. Oh, I'm just under. So I'm going to be pedantic and I'm going to put a bit more in because I can. There we go. Now I've gone 5 over, but it'll be fine. All right, so we've got 1 litre, we've got 1 litre of water in there. So I'm going to pop the lid on. I'm going to go to the cross and then we're going to go back to egg boiler. And I'm going to go, now these eggs I'm going to keep in the fridge for my, like slicing up for sandwiches or making egg mayonnaise. So I'm going to do them medium hard. So that means it's a hard outer and the yolk is kind of semi-hard, almost very hard, but not quite. So it's just nice to slice up and have on toast or in a salad, like the Caesar salad. It's lovely with that. So that's going to take 14 minutes. Now, you might think, oh, look, I can boil eggs on the stove. We all can. Easy, right? How many times do you boil them dry? How many times do you forget how long you've cooked them for? How many times would you like a soft boiled egg, but you end up with a hard boiled egg? Or even no boiled egg because the water's boiled dry and you've nearly burnt the house down. So this actually takes that away because this means that with the 6 or the 7, it's literally like it's child's play. All right. So You just need to set it going, walk away, and it will ding when it's done. If you're lucky enough to have a TM7, it will ding your mobile phone to tell you that it's finished. Now that to me is amazing. We made mushroom risotto for lunch today, and it dinged when it was done, and we could go and get it. It was absolutely brilliant. So that is a feature of the 7 that is just brilliant. Now, if you can see on here, we have 4 different colors with our TM7 versus the TM6. TM6 is green, so as you can currently see, it's green. You'll see it go to red when it's hot, whereas the TM7 goes through 4 colors. So it goes from green to yellow to amber to red. So it goes through the color changes of the temperature control. So we've got 1 minute, 20 seconds to go on this one. And I'm going to have a look at the next step because that's always good to see what's coming up when you're doing a recipe. So we just scroll up a little bit and it now says we're going to add the chicken. So I'll go grab the chicken out so that we've got that ready to go. So this is where it helps with your prep time because if 5 minutes ago, if I hadn't have chopped my chicken, I could have been chopping my chicken while it's cooking its next bit, rather than you standing at the stove and you're stirring and you can't chop your chicken because you're stirring. So that's where the Thermomix makes it super easy. So we've got our chicken breast and then it wants some flour. So we've got a flour here and I need some black pepper. So I should grab some of that. Now, if you haven't seen one of these before, these are the salt and pepper makers that are in the mix shop. So this is the salt and the pepper. So I've ground the salt down, I've ground the pepper down in the Thermomix, and then I pop it in here and it makes it just easy to add into what we're cooking. So I've got that ready to go. And that's the next ingredient. And then we're going to cook it for a minute and then we're going to add the water and the chicken stock. Now, chicken stock. So I've got, and I don't know whether this is going to work, but I've been trying to defrost it, seeing as we weren't actually making this recipe. Not sure if it's going to work, but I like to make homemade liquid chicken stock. So liquid chicken stock has got a lot more gelatin in it. It's got a lot more goodness in it for your tummy. And so this has been frozen. Oh, and my phone's going off as well because my TM7's just gone off. So we're going to go back to where we're up to. So it says at the bottom, back to current step, takes us back to where we were. It says, so we're going to go on next. All right. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So you've got all our cooked vegetables in there, nice and hot. All right, so now it wants us to add a chicken. So now this asks for chicken thigh, and there's a very good reason for that. So chicken thighs actually don't shred when they're in a recipe. So I'm using chicken breast. So I've done slightly bigger pieces than normal so that it doesn't shred it, because it does shred it quite easily. So I'm just going to pop that in there like that. I'm going to tick it off because I'm just a little bit short of the 500. And it's got 50 grams of plain flour. So I've just got my plain flour to pop in like that. And then it's going to tick that off because I got that right. Yay! And then we're going to go 2 pinches of black pepper. Black pepper is really good for digestion. So if you're not eating black pepper, always good to have a little bit on your meal. It really does help with that digestion. Tick it off. We'll go next. Sorry, I just realized you can't see the screen. All right, now we're going to cook it for 1 minute, 90 degrees on speed 2. So I'm going to press play. And what that's going to do is that's going to mix it through. Now, I actually think on the TM6, that recipe was a little bit different because I'm sure that used to just stir that through before we then cooked it. So we'll see what this one turns out like. So we've got 48 seconds. This one's got 10 minutes left. So what I might do is, because I might get my focaccia out of the oven and I'm going to split it between 2 trays. So this is going to be a focaccia for me and a pizza for my daughter. Now then, I'm just going to put my oven on so it's on the right temperature. If I can actually get it to work. That'll do. I'll put it on there. All right. Now, if you haven't seen these bowls before, these are brilliant. They come in a set of 3 from the mix shop. They have, oh, it's very well risen now. And they have a lid on and it keeps it sealed. So it means that your bread doesn't go dry while it's proving. All right. And there's a bigger one and a little one. I find them great for popping in the fridge. So mine often will have salad in it or leftovers or whatever it is that I've been making. Now then, I'm going to put that lid back on for a second because our recipe is just finished. So let's move on. Next. All right, so now it's saying to add 800 grams of water. So this is where, so that's where I can show you the chicken is in here. It's already started cooking. So this is where I would put in the liquid chicken stock versus just standard water to get that extra bit of goodness. Now, I might not get the 800 mils out of here because of the fact that it's frozen in the middle, but we'll see how we go. So it's on bottom, so this could be a length, actually, this is going to be a lengthy process to do it that way. So let's see what I can get out. Now, so I'm going to have to put my finger on it because there's a big bit of, oh, we're doing all right. Now then, that's a very big chunk in the middle, but I'll leave that in the fridge. I like to put that on my dog food as well because it's good nutrition for them as well. Now I've dripped water on the screen. Now the good thing with the 7 is the water goes on the screen, doesn't affect it. I can still carry on with it. So I'm just going to make this up to 800. Oops, I've gone over, but it's going to tick it off. I'm in the zone. So good. All right, so we're going to tick that off. And it says chicken stock paste. Now, because I've used liquid homemade chicken stock, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some salt in, which it would have given us if we'd have put there. So I'm just going to put a teaspoon of salt in there. It's always good to have some salt, and especially if you need to rehydrate if it's been poorly. Salt is very important to us. All right, now it's going to cook it for 15 minutes. So we're going to pop the lid on. And I'm actually going to do something a little bit different with this because this is saying that I'm going to press play and then I'm going to pause. Now then, so it's actually doing speed 1 and it's got the blade turning the right way. I'm going to put it on reverse. So I'm going to show you how you can manually change a recipe when you're already in guided cooking. All right. So I'm going to select the recipe. It's going to bring it up on screen. And we've got 15 minutes at 100 degrees. I will leave that as it is. Speed 1, but I'm going to hit it on reverse so that it doesn't shred my chicken. Whereas if it's on the cutting blade, it's going to shred that chicken and there will be literally not much chicken left. So it's on reverse. I'm actually surprised it doesn't actually put it on reverse. So that could be another slight change. So we're going to go press play and now it's on reverse. So it's going to go for 15 minutes. So while that's doing that, and we've got eggs have got 6 minutes to go. Let's get this focaccia. Now, you're probably not going to see the focaccia finished, I'll be honest, because of the fact that it will take a little bit longer, but that's all right. We'll make it work. All right, so I'm going to cut this dough in half. And it's a very wet dough, is this focaccia, to be fair. And I will be honest, it's not a recipe that I've actually done before. I normally do, if I'm doing dough, I normally do the pizza bianca because it's one of the easiest ones to do. But we'll go with the flour. So as you can see, it's not very much dough. But what we're going to do with this is for the focaccia, so that's not this one, for the focaccia, we're just going to dimple it. And we're just going to move it about a bit like this. It is quite a sticky dough. So if I tried to pick it up, I don't know if it would, nah, we won't bother. But because it's a focaccia, so we're just going to spread it out a little bit. As I said, I only wanted to do a couple of portions of this, and then we let it rise again. So I'm going to leave that like that, and then this one I'm going to spread out for a pizza. We're just popping. So just dimpling it means that if I put olive oil on the top of it, the olive oil will actually sit on the top as opposed to running off. And it's always good when you're doing dough, I find, to have a spray bottle. So I have a spray bottle, which I need to top up actually. But I've got a spray bottle and I normally just give it a spray of olive oil. Super easy to do, like so. And it just stops it going dry while it's in the oven doing its proof. So I'm going to pop these into the oven next to it and let it prove a little bit longer in there. temperamental cookers. I do apologize. All right, so we've got 12 minutes left on this one, 4 minutes left, 3 minutes left on this one, so our eggs are nearly ready. So the focaccia, all I'm going to do with that, the doughs are very versatile. Like for instance, if you wanted just a bog standard quick and easy dough, I always suggest using the pizza dough, the pizza bianca dough. So you don't have to do the whole pizza bianca recipe, just the pizza dough bit. That is really versatile. And if with hindsight, if I'd have known what I was cooking tonight early enough, I would have actually made that dough because it's super easy to manipulate and use, and you would have seen the end result as well. But that focaccia that I've put in the oven to prove again for another 20 minutes or so, that will then, it will rise again, and then I'll just bake it for 20 minutes and it will be done, and it will go perfectly with my soup. The boiled eggs, obviously we need to cool them down. So I'm going to grab some ice water, ready for when it's finished, so we can do that. So just grab some ice out the pizza. Now, what I could do at this point is I could pop them in the thermoserver. So while we've got 2 minutes to talk, so if you haven't got yourself a cutter as yet for your Thermomix, whether that be a TM6, TM5, or a the TM31, unfortunately, they don't work with, but the TM5 and TM6. This is the TM7 cutter. All right, so it's a little bit different. It has a built-in dual, what do you call it, pusher. Whereas the TM6 version has two different pushers, one for the spiralizer, one for the cutter. With the TM7, they've advanced it, and now it's all in one. This is the food processor element. So this does your grating, your slicing, for your TM7. It is a little bit different to your TM6. The TM5, TM6 version, your TM7 version has 4 prongs on it rather than 2, and it has these arms on it, which you can see this way. It has arms on it and a hole in the top as well. So this is where the locking mechanism works with your TM7 versus your TM6, which of course has your arms. And so these are available at the moment as a host reward. So when you host a demo, that could be host a cooking class, lesson, whatever you want to call it. If you have 2 friends and yourself, you can get yourself one of these at a reduced price. If you have a friend who buys a Thermomix, then you can get this at half price. That's for the TM5, TM6, or TM7, because we have both cutters available. You can also buy the TM56 cutter in the mix shop. That is in there as well. If you do buy anything from the mix shop, can you please remember to put your consultant's name in before you check out? They really do appreciate it. We all have small businesses, and it really does help. Even if it's only a couple of dollars, it still helps out at the end of the day. So we would really appreciate your support there. If you are, now the eggs are ready. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't ding my phone to tell me that it's ready. But if I've been up and had a shower in the morning, come down and my eggs are done, it's brilliant. So what we'll do now is we'll take the lid off, all right? And we're going to pop in. I was just going to say, what did I do with them? I'm going to tip the hot water out first, carefully. Now, if you were doing this with the younger lot, as in you've got your children involved, one of the things you can do for safety is to pop in, and this is the TM7 simmering basket, but it'll work the same way. Don't burn yourself like I nearly did. And then you can just hold it, put it in the wrong way. And you can just hold it at the back and tip your water out, and you won't actually tip the eggs out. So I'm just going to do that here carefully. All right, and then pop the basket out. All right, so that was an easy way of getting them out. So now we've got our eggs in the bottom. I'm just going to pop our water in like so, and pop it ice in like so, and that now is going to stay, and I'll leave it in there for a little bit. Now, the other thing with the TM6 versus TM7, which I don't often talk that much about the differences, but this one, because the ball is sitting into here, this is going to go extreme temperature from hot to cold, which is not actually that good for, so let me take it out, for this surround. All right, so for those of you that may have heard about what we call crazing, which is where you get very, very fine cracks in your your housing, which this is just a plate cover. It can be replaced. However, the glazing not does happen, but can happen if you're going extreme temperature, hot to cold. So that's just something to bear in mind when if you're on a TM6 or TM5. And if you are starting to get that crazing, it could be because you're leaving items in from hot to cold, or just leaving things in for a long duration. So that's going to sit there for a little bit and cool. Now, obviously, you don't have that with the 7 because the 7 is insulated, like I'm holding the 7 now. It is warm, but as you can see, it's bright red, so it is at maximum temperature. The temperature currently is at 98 degrees, but it's actually fine to hold on the outside. So with the TM7, so the other thing that's also good for TM7, so obviously this is cooking. If this was in the TM6, I wouldn't be able to take the lid off. On the TM7, I can remove the lid and have a look. It's looking great. Pop the lid back on and it carries on. So that is really cool. All right, so that's that one. So what else can I tell you? So we've still got 6 minutes to go. Thermoserver. I like it. So the Thermoserver. Now, if you are brand new to a Thermomix, I'm not sure exactly who's on tonight because I can't see everybody, so I just go with the flow. So for those that are on, if you're brand new to a Thermomix, also if you can pop in the chat what model of Thermomix you've got, just so we know not who we're dealing with, but what machines we're dealing with, so that if we need to diversify at any point, I can actually give you some pointers for different amounts. For instance, if you're a TM31 owner, the bowl is slightly smaller, so the TM31 bowl is only 2 litres and not 2.2. So things like that, just to be aware of when you're actually making a recipe, especially like the Hug in a Mug chicken soup, which does come towards the maximum of the bowl. So it's just being aware of that. The TM7 owners, well done, lucky you. I have to say I was on the fence about the TM7 when it first came out because I love my TM6. Now I'm kind of a bit of a convert, and now I love my 7. I have to say quietly more than the 6, but I have both to work with, and I'm very lucky and feel very grateful for having both of those in my kitchen. So the Thermoserver, getting back to this, I do digress all the time, as Emmeline would tell you. So with the Thermoserver, these keep your food hot or cold. They used to be up to 2 hours. Now these are insulated, so we've got an insulated lid rather than the plain lid. This one is keeps your food hot or cold for up to 4 hours. So it's a really good way. So for instance, this soup, if I was taking this soup maybe to somebody who was poorly, I could pop it into here and it would keep it hot until it got there. And it would also, with the seal around the edge, it would seal it so that once I put the clips on, it's not going to leak while I take it in the car, because the old thermoservers were a bit of a pain, because if you took anything liquid out, anything with liquid, it got tipped up in the car, it would spill. This won't. So you've got that seal around the edge. So these are available when you host a demonstration, cooking class, lesson, whatever you want to call them. Now, if you wanted to do that but don't want to have people around to your house, it can happen. Some people don't like to have to clean up. You can actually invite them to our class on a Thursday night. Speak to your consultant of how to organise that, because they need to do a little bit of prep work behind the scenes to make it work for you. But they can certainly do that. You can invite 2 friends to this cooking class, and you can get yourself one of these lovely thermoservers. You cannot buy these in the store. It is a limited edition. It's only available to hosts who host the demonstration, or as I like to say, for those that invite a couple of friends and introduce them to Thermomix. I mean, can you imagine not being introduced to Thermomix yourself? How would that work? I couldn't imagine it. I just really couldn't. So being without a Thermomix I don't even want to think about it. It would be like my life would be over, I think, if I didn't have a Thermomix in my life. It would be. I can't, yeah, I don't know what I'd do. These people that say, if you went on a desert island, what would be the one thing you'd take? I'd have to send my Thermomix, but then I'd have to power it. So I'm not sure how that would work. But, so that's the Thermoserver. So I have several of these. The other good advantage to these are for home rather than taking it somewhere, is that if you have family members that come in at different times of the night of dinner time, and you want to make a meal, say at 4 o'clock, but they're not coming in until 5 or 6, you can have it in here on the table, and it would actually keep it nice and warm until they got home, so it's still hot enough to eat. So that's another benefit of the Thermoserver. I often will have rice in one. Tonight I was going to make chicken teriyaki. That's what I was supposed to be making. But unfortunately they had no capsicum in the store or any of the other ingredients I needed, to be fair. So I would normally use this, and I would use another Thermoserver for my rice. I was also going to show you the Thermoserver rice, how to make rice in your Thermoserver. So I probably will do that on a class maybe next week, so that we have all the ingredients to hand, and that should be good. So I'll just check on that focaccia and see if it's rising. Let's just get this out of the way. If you'd like to put anything into the chat, if you haven't got any questions, you can put it into the chat. Yeah, they're not quite risen enough yet, so I need to leave them in there a little bit longer. So like I said, you might not see the focaccia on this class, but the soup is almost ready. It's only got 2 minutes to go. So the next step says to divide the soup between mugs or bowls and serve with crusty bread. What I'm going to show you actually while we've got a few minutes is on the TM6, because we have this function on both machines, but they're just a little bit different. So we've got a swipe Tinder screen, so swipe across. So in here, we have a chop function. Now, the chop function is a very underutilized mode. Now, I say mode in a funny way, I know, but it's how I say it. In the chop function, you've got access to lots and lots of different chops, different vegetables, nuts, things to chop. So you don't have to think about it. When I got my TM31 back in the day, we had to guesstimate things. So it was like, right, I need to chop me nuts, but I'm not sure whether I chop it on speed 5, speed 7, speed 8, speed 10. I just had no idea. So you went with, points of elimination until you got the right way. Either blitzed it beyond blitz. So you had like flour or you didn't blend it enough and it was too chunky. So with this, it takes all that guesswork out. So if we go down, for instance, to pulses. So this is to make chickpea flour, all right? So it says 100 grams or 150 to 250 grams. So if we're going to weigh in 100 grams, you would just put your bowl in, you would weigh in your 100 grams and you would put set, and it will put it in 20 seconds at speed 10. So it's going to go all the way around. So generally speed 10 for milling is about right. However, on the TM7, and this bit blew me away when I found this out last week. So on the TM7, which also has a chop function, I don't think it'll allow me to show you, but I'll see if it does. Oh yeah, there we go. So this one has pretty pictures and colour, which is much nicer. And in each one, you can even do steaming as well. It has different things in it. Oh, there we go. That's finished. So all right, my phone's telling me now as well it's finished. So I'm just going to go next. Basically, it says to serve, so I will show you what it looks like in a second. But I'm going to just show you the differences. So this is the pulses. So let's go to pulses on here. I've got to find it first. Oh, there we go. Dried pulses. All right, so it says choose your desired result. So I've got ground, didn't give us that option on that one. This one says, then it's gone to the sizing of here. It says 100 to 150 or 150 to 250. Now, if I weighed in, so if I said, all right, I'm going to do 100 to 150, but I weighed in 200, it would automatically move to the 200, which I thought was pretty cool. So it's automatically recognizing that you're putting that extra size in. So I do love that. And then when you tick it off, it puts 40 seconds on speed 10, and obviously it's ready to go. Now, clearly I'm not going to do it, otherwise my soup will be obliviated. So we're not going to do that. But I will show you the soup. So let's have a look at our soup, which we have a very big bowl of soup. I'm just going to give it a stir. All right, now then, there we have. I'll try and show it you. That's our soup, lovely chicken soup. It looks like a chicken soup, doesn't it? Shall I do a taste test? What do you think? Taste test? Yeah, go on then. I'll grab a spoon. Let's see what it tastes like. Meanwhile, our eggs, of course, our eggs are now nice and cool. And if you look at the TM7, TM6 bowl, you can see the condensation where it's nice and cold. So that's now ready to go in the fridge. Now this is probably going to burn my mouth off. So I'm just going to show you the chicken. So as you can see, the chicken's still in good sized pieces, which is what I wanted. They're a little bit jagged around the edges, probably because I didn't realize it was on speed 1 on forward. I'm not going to taste the chicken just because it'll be very, very hot. So I'm just going to let this cool for a second. It's like giving baby food, you know. There you go, baby. Oh yeah. Yum. Yeah. If anything, I think it needs a perhaps a little bit more salt. I was hesitant with the salt because I didn't use the stock because I used this liquid stock as opposed to my normal stock paste. So if you make, which I hope you do, because if you're all Thermomix owners, I'm hoping that you've all got homemade vegetable stock in your fridge or freezer. Vegetable stock is one of the best and easiest savings you can make with a Thermomix. Veggie stock paste, I actually ran out today. I used the last of it for our mushroom risotto at lunch. But yeah, it's amazing. So definitely give that one a go. We're going to have some soup now for our dinner. That's going to sit in the Thermomix for a little bit longer because I need to make the focaccia, so I've got another 20 minutes or so to wait. But I won't keep you all for that. So hope you've enjoyed the class tonight. Learned something new, hopefully. If you want to pop into the chat what was the best thing for you tonight, what you've learned, or what you enjoyed the most, or didn't. Donna talks too much, could be that, I don't know. But yeah, I'd love to have your feedback. It's always good to know what people are thinking, or whether they're enjoying it, or maybe recipes you want to see. Always happy to hear comments back. And other than that, if you've got any questions, the recording will finish shortly.